Hello, everybody. Apologies that we're slightly late. There was a couple of very small technical problems that we're still dealing with them, but I'm sure we'll get through. My name is Joe Bell. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager at the National Extension College. Obviously, thank you all for attending the webinar today. Just to give you an overview, this webinar is part of a series of online events that the National Extension College is delivering along with our partners and other esteemed organisations. All our previous webinars are available to watch on our YouTube channel, so please feel free to browse that after this session if there may be something that might be relevant or of interest to you. Today we are co-presenting with the University of East Anglia, who we've shared a good relationship for a number of years now, and we're delighted to be sharing this platform with them again today. Shortly, I'll be handing over to Gemma Standen, who will be talking you through some of the key information and support you can expect when applying and attending university. You'll notice that there's a chat function on YouTube. Please say hi in the chat function, and also we'll be taking a Q&A at the end of the session. So please add any questions or comments you have to the chat. Before I hand over, I just wanted to give a very brief background on the National Extension College, who we are and what we do. And this is where some of the eagle-eyed of you will notice some of the technical problems that I'm going to be having shortly, but we will get through it. The National Extension College was established in 1963 as a pilot for the Open University. Since then, we have seen many changes and been through many guises. Currently, we offer a range of online courses, including GCSEs, A-levels, and other professional skills courses. We're also a not-for-profit organisation, which means that everything we do goes back into the development of the courses and the support that we provide. Our mission is simple. NEC seeks to widen learning opportunities for learners who want flexibility and excellent delivery of courses. Our learning design. So the design and delivery of our courses are key to what we do. We're an online distance learning provider. We specialise in GCSEs and A-levels. The course materials are available 24/7 from our online platform and have been specifically designed for self-study. These include interactive quizzes and videos. All of our courses, you receive support from a qualified tutor, and your course tutor will provide detailed feedback on assignments and can be contacted through the portal to ask questions at any time, really. On our platform, there's also a student and tutor-led forums where you can discuss topics and engage with fellow students. I was going to play a video just to sort of give you an idea of what our learning platform looks like. That is one of the current technical issues that we're currently dealing with at the moment. However, as I mentioned, if you're currently on the NEC channel now, there are plenty of showcases of our courses and of our learning platform if you wanted to check them out after the webinar, of course. So these are just some of the ways that we can help. We have a dedicated student support team on hand throughout the duration of your studies, and we also offer in-house pastoral officer who can offer support to students who may require that additional support. It's our students who are at the heart of what we do, and when we see them succeed and move forward to higher education or that dream career, really that is what drives us. And this is when I mention a particular former student who has certainly experienced success, is the comedian Russell Kane. He studied with NEC in the late 90s after leaving school without A-levels. He enrolled with NEC to study A-level sociology. He studied for 2 hours every evening while living with his grandmother in a housing association flat and working full-time. We, alongside Russell, have worked to create the Russell Kane Scholarship. So he's now working with us to provide a scholarship to fund 3 students to sit their GCSEs or A-levels plus examinations with NEC. here I would play a little bit of a video of him in conversation with the author Kit DeVal. However, as I mentioned before, you can check that out on our YouTube channel and watch clips as well as the full video if you wanted to have a look at that. I'm mentioning this because as an organisation that looks to widen participation in education, we do understand that sometimes, fees and costs can be, just not available to people at certain times. So partly of one of the reasons that we're working with Russell is to try and make our courses more accessible. So if you are thinking about distance education and you just don't feel like you have the means to do so, then please go to our website and sort of check out our scholarship page and other opportunities that may be available to help funding your course. Great. And here it is. Find out more about the Russell Kane Scholarship at necac.uk/Russell Kane Scholarship. And you can watch the full video of Russell in conversation with Kit on our YouTube channel. And before I hand you over to Gemma, who's going to take you through everything that you need to know about applying for, as well as the support that you will receive at university, I just wanted as well to introduce Kirsten Butler, who will be also taking some questions at the end, along with Gemma, around our UCAS application service. If you're a current student with NEC and you're interested in finding more about our UCAS service, you can look at the Applying to University section on Learn at NEC, or you can email directly to Kirsten at ucas@nec.ac.uk. But again, if you have any questions at all around UCAS or anything that comes up during Gemma's presentation, please just put into the chat box and we'll do our best to answer at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to link Gemma in and hand over to her. So thank you. Thank you very much, Gemma.
Thank you ever so much, Joe, and thanks for inviting me along today. So do you have my slides there by any chance? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit today about transitioning into university and the types of support that are available within a university setting. Now, obviously, the first and foremost thing to say about transitioning into a degree or into a higher education course is that it's perfectly normal and reasonable to have questions or concerns. So this section of this talk is going to look at that specifically. Universities and colleges who tend to offer degree programs will all have their own mechanisms in place for their students. But obviously, the information provided in this section of the presentation will reflect the University of East Anglia because it's one that I know quite well. I was a student there myself. I studied as a mature student when I progressed into university. And my role specifically looks after mature students. And as part of that, I support the transition of those who are mature into university, helping to answer any questions they might have about support mechanisms and to help signpost any helpful resources. It's also quite useful as well to help students realise the opportunities available, help them discover what's possible, and even sort of how to phrase questions and develop the confidence to take your entitlement really away from your experience. Could you please move into the next slide, Joe? Thank you. So over the transition period, for anyone who might be starting university in a few weeks' time, you might be really keen to get the ball rolling with anything that you can start doing anytime soon, really. You might also have questions about sort of how to do this and where to find information. So whilst you wait for the start of the academic year to come round, you may wish to keep an eye on your emails from the universities who will be in touch with you to let you know if there's anything that you might need to do. For example, they might reference a course, a short online course for you to study, or to read some information before you start. Now, speaking about UEA, we have a course, like a free course on our system. So when people register as students on our system, one of the first things they can do is a free online course to help them prepare for their studies a bit later on in the month. If you don't receive any instructions from any university or course that you've applied to, this often means that there isn't any expectation for you to do anything in preparation for starting your course, and that likely they will fully induct you onto the course and support you with that transition as it comes around. And you all may wonder as well how what to expect from a university classroom setting. So, for example, a lecture or seminar, or how that might differ from what teaching you have experienced in the past. Now, obviously, lots of institutions will be running talks and sessions and things like that to help you explore a little bit more over what to expect over the coming weeks. But also, if you're, again, quite keen on getting started, there is a free course, which I'll talk about in a moment, and often the opportunity as well to visit university YouTube channels and watch their videos. So much like Joe has already said about doing the same with NEC videos, you could do the same for any universities that you're thinking about going to in the future, or that you are potentially going to a bit later on this year, depending on where you are in your educational journey. So if you don't mind moving to the next slide, please, Joe. Now, for anyone who might be aware of Future Learn, there is a fantastic amount of free courses available that can help you try out some courses or subject areas you might not be familiar with, say international development or biochemistry, for example. But there is this free online course as well that we offer through Future Learn called Preparing for University. It's a free online MOOC, which stands for Massive Open Online Course, and it runs throughout the academic year. It's a really fantastic way of getting to grips with some skills that you would have no doubt learned through NEC or through your previous educational providers. But it gives you a chance to really embed them within a sort of tertiary setting, so you can get to grips with what to expect from a lecture or from a seminar or from a group work experience within a university setting. This is a course that has been written by Uea academics as well, and it is a fantastic transition tool, regardless of where you're considering studying, so whether that's at Uea or another institution anywhere in the world. A lot of the skills that are taught through this particular course will help those who are looking to embark on a higher education experience as well. So a couple of examples of the key skills that you will use and practice throughout this is time management, critical analysis of texts, and it's going to beautifully complement everything that you have been working on up to this point. Next slide, please, Joe. So in terms of the types of support services you can expect from a university, again, this is an example of Uea's support service. So we call it our student services because absolutely every single fee-paying student at the university can get access to the support services available. So our student services are split into three main divisions. And as you can probably guess, it is a very big department at the university. And again, we're not alone in putting a lot of resource into the support of students. So the first of our three divisions is student wellbeing. So this is a very, very prevalent area where we have various teams that specialise in talking therapies and support specifically for students. We have wellbeing support advisors as well. So they are people who run regular training and events for people to help improve confidence around studies, to support with all kinds of things relating to wellbeing. They have tools and resources to help develop coping mechanisms and skills, and there's disability support as well. So if you are someone who has a long-term health condition, a specific learning need, or a mental health condition, for example, then you can speak to the disability team. Even if you don't have a formal diagnosis of these things yet as well, the support services at universities will often provide you with that level of support, will help you apply for any additional funding as required, and also put things in place to adjust your learning in line with this, with any diagnoses that you may have. Student life is the second division that we'll discuss, and they have another big section really, because they look after all of our students living on and off campus. So as an international renowned university, we do tend to take a lot of international students who may have moved across the world to come study with us. So obviously they may need some support on adjusting to university life, into halls of residence and other things as well. So there's a lot of support available for international students. We have student life advisors who are there to support students living on campus and, as I mentioned, off campus as well, including students who might commute to campus. They also have financial advisors available as well. So, for example, if you are getting used to budgeting independently for the first time, they might make appointments with you to help you with your budgeting, to help you get the most out of your money and make it last you throughout your term. Now, ultimately as well, if things don't go to plan, for example, cars break down, boilers break and things like that as well. If unexpected things happen and unexpected costs arise, then have a conversation with the support team at universities, because they may have funding there to support you as well. And for those students who do choose to live on campus or who stay within halls of residence, they have residential life support available as well. So, for example, if you're having problems with a flatmate, or you are having issues with wellbeing late at night, then there are people there to support you. We have people that live in-house within the residences, a bit like senior students, who support other students who might be adjusting to student life. And then the third division is our learning enhancement team. So some universities use different language to this. This is very much UEA language. You might see this as known as study support, or support around your studies. The learning enhancement team at UEA support you with all aspects of your academic work. So this might be supporting you with academic and writing skills. It could be supporting you with maths and stats, or it could be supporting you with English language if English is a second language to you. I'll talk about peer-assisted learning in more depth in just a moment, but here I'll just add that all of these services provide really flexible support throughout the academic year and beyond. For example, every Thursday I work within our student information zone, that's our central hub on campus, to provide support for students who want to drop in, maybe do a little bit of work with us, or talk to other students as well. So yeah, there's a whole range of different support available. You just have to be pretty open to the idea of gaining support from universities, meaning that bear in mind your fees pay toward all of the services provided by the universities. You don't have to wait until you're at a crisis point to reach out and gain access to any of these services. They're available at any point. If you don't mind moving into the next slide, please, Joe. So here I'm just going to point out some of the further academic help and support available. So at UEA, everyone is given a named contact for their course, known as their personal advisor, and they're there to help students transition into the subject, as well as supporting them quite holistically with signposting to any academic study materials, services and incentives to help you get the most out of your time of being a student. I've already mentioned the learning enhancement team, but as I mentioned here, they can help you quite a lot with things like referencing, with academic writing, how to manage your sources of information, and they also provide a whole wealth of resources online as well. So, for example, if you would rather try things out yourself before going to speak to somebody for help, there is also that option available to you as well. Now, in each of our faculties, and we have 4 of them that house all of our schools of study, we have particular members of staff that are embedded within those schools to help students with any sorts of issues or questions or queries that come up, as they no doubt do, to help them, again, adjust and navigate the services and around their studies. So a fantastic example of this is students studying health sciences might find the reimbursement process a little bit frustrating. So, for example, travel and transport placements are often reimbursed and you have to apply via the university to the NHS. We have the faculty embedded support team members who help students with that process. And for example, if they fall into any financial difficulty because of that process, they can support them with that. And then obviously we've got a massive library, as many universities do, and that can be something quite large to navigate around in itself. So we have a team of academic librarians who can absolutely support you with finding sources, requesting new texts and books into the library, and promoting programs and things that you might find will help with accessibility. So, for example, we've got a free system in place for our students that promotes the ability to read text. So, for example, if somebody is blind or hard of sight, they will be able to get a text and have it put through a system that dictates that text to them. This is often a really useful tool for those students who commute into campus as well. So again, very much worthwhile spending a little bit of time as you approach university, getting to know the services, the facilities, and finding your way around. Don't be afraid to ask staff for questions and for help. That is absolutely what they're there for, and we're all very, very happy to help. So next slide, please, Joe, if you don't mind. Thank you. Many universities have a student union as well. So a union is essentially there to support the university and to hold it accountable for any of its decisions that might adversely affect the student body. So our student union is quite a big one, to be honest with you, and we have a whole mass of teams that support students in a range of different ways. So they support students with training opportunities. So we have leadership training for students who are interested in going into sort of leadership positions. We have an open forum for advocacy, campaigns and complaints, meaning that if you're finding something is frustrating with the college or university that you're studying at, you can feed that back to the union. And you can also raise awareness and campaigns for anything that you're passionate about. So we have, for example, a campaign around safer taxi schemes, meaning that we have a registered number of taxi providers in the local area who have signed up to this charter with the student union to provide safe services for our students to get home locally whilst using those. We have a whole wealth of different social opportunities, clubs, societies and events. So clubs and societies typically are the extracurricular activities that you could choose to get involved with if you would like to. There might be small costs involved with getting involved with some of these clubs and societies. For example, you might be required to purchase sports kit and things like that. But it's definitely worthwhile, especially if you're quite sporty or you have any interests that you would like to continue whilst you're studying at university. The clubs pretty much, we've got the standard sort of football, basketball, netball and those types of things, to the more sort of extreme sort of lacrosse. We've got water sports and things like that. But the society is very much down to either a school-based or subject-based interest, or it can be down to the weird and wonderful. So we've got a pasta appreciation society, for example, as well as a garlic bread appreciation society, because those two things need to be separate, clearly. We also have a massive advice service through our student union. It's the part that I think they pride themselves on the most. They do support students with concerns around their education, but they also support students with any complaints around sort of wellbeing, disability, and the additional help required through housing. So, for example, students that might move off of campus after their first year, they have housing support and advice available, as well as events aimed at students to help them find somewhere safe with the Safer Landlord campaign that they're running. We also have a report and support section as well, meaning that if something were to happen to you, either in the university setting or outside in the local community, then you can report that anonymously, or you can name yourself and gain support from that as well. So there's a whole range of different things available for students. And the best part about the Students' Union is it's run for students by students. The career staff that work there are there to support the students who decide how and what to do with the Students' Union. So again, it's a really fantastic thing to get involved with if you go to university. And if it's not UEA that you're looking to study at, then do check out the unions of any university that you're considering as well, to see what they're offering students in terms of social activities and otherwise. Next slide, please, Jo. Okay, so the big part of peer support really is that it's something that a lot of universities are really keen on promoting. A lot of students are keen to support other students, particularly if you've lived experience. So a further thing that our student union run is a buddy scheme. It's a program that essentially matches a current student, so somebody who's already been through their first year, with somebody who's about to start university. This can be based on a number of different factors. So if you wanted to gain a buddy on the approach to the start of your course, you can submit a short application form and score how interested you are in a number of different things, including being matched with somebody based on course, age, or interest, for example. Your buddy can be there to support you with answering questions about your course, what to expect over the transition. They can come with you to certain things, like if you wanted to go to a clubs and societies fair and see what's available to you, they can be there and to help you with all of that stuff. Now, ultimately, many of our students who have received a buddy choose to volunteer as a buddy in their second or third year onwards. And if they do that as well, they can rack up voluntary hours and feed into something that we also have through our career service called the Uea Award. This is a fantastic accolade that looks fantastic on CVs, and it shows your ability to sort of mentor or tutor students based on your experience. Now, speaking very much along the sort of peer-assisted side of things, PAL is another initiative run by our Learning Enhancement team that involves our student body. So the key to peer-assisted learning is that it is run, again, for students by students. And the mentors will essentially be matched up to people based on subject. So you can meet up with people on a one-to-one or small group setting and discuss anything relating to your course. They give a structured and confidential, relaxed service. So essentially, it's a really nice thing to do if you're new to your subject, or it's might be the first time you've studied in a while. So getting a PAL mentor can absolutely sort of increase your confidence around a subject or topic that you're working on, and they are again trained to support you with adjusting your confidence around those things as well. Next slide, please, Jo. So we've only got a couple of slides left, so I just thought I'd leave you with some signposting if you guys are interested. So as I've mentioned throughout the talk, really, I'm very aware that many of you will be looking at lots of different universities across the UK, perhaps worldwide. My role very much is to support people into education, and university generally, and not to recruit necessarily to UEA. However, we do have some really fantastic resources that you can look at in your own time if you'd like to, or you can absolutely approach me. So here on this screen, we've got a resource centre, which you can access by visiting everwondered.uea.ac.uk. And in that resource centre, you can filter it down to mature student level if you're a mature student, or a young person, or a parent or carer, or even a tutor yourself. So if you teach, there's lots of really fantastic videos, workbooks, and much more in there that can help with the university application process, student finance, and some of those transition bits that we've been talking about today. For example, practicing your study skills and how other students are managing those. So please do go have a look at that. And if you get stuck, you can absolutely contact me, as I've mentioned. And if you go to the last slide, please, Joe. There's some ways you can contact me. So UEA has an Ask Us platform, similar to the UCAS one, if you've been onto the UCAS website. The UEA Ask Us platform allows you to speak to staff, students and academics, including myself, as you can see on the right-hand side there. This provides you with the opportunity to filter by subject or interest or otherwise. Failing that, you can absolutely have a look at our website as well, uea.co/mature-students. That takes you to our web pages where there's lots of information, including the link to book a virtual support meeting with me if you're interested in having a further conversation with me on Teams about sort of the future of your education. Or you can email me on maturestudents@uea.ac.uk. So there's a good few bits of information there. I will circulate these slides via Joe. You've already got them, actually. You're presenting them. But yeah, you can ultimately share the links that I've just mentioned there, if you don't mind, because I don't have access to the comments. But yeah, if anyone has any questions for me, I'm very happy to answer them. Otherwise, Joe, that's me. I'm going to hand back to you.
Great, thank you so much, Gemma. I think that was a really, fascinating and very thorough presentation on what it's like is to, life in university, and obviously the support that you and UEA can provide to students. So thank you very much for that. As Gemma has mentioned, if there's anybody out there that's watching that would like to put a question to Gemma around her presentation or anything that came up, please do just add to the comments, and that goes the same for anything that you might have surrounding the application service to apply for university, our NEC's UCAS service essentially that you might want to ask Kirsten, or any general questions around NEC distance learning courses or anything like that. Please, now is your chance to enter your information into the chat box, and we can answer for you. While we're waiting for people to ask a couple of questions, I thought I would just ask you a quick question, Gemma, if that's all right. I thought it's amazing to see the level of support available out there to students through UEA. I mean, it really does cover every aspect of student life, academic and social. I just wanted to know and you might not be able to answer this, but your feeling is, do you feel that obviously UEA is a very esteemed university, but do you think the level of support that you can provide is that kind of unique to UEA, or do you feel like that's something that's becoming more norm, or is the norm out there now?
It's a really good question, Joe. I think UEA I use as a benchmark because obviously it's the university that I work at. I am in a privileged position to work alongside other universities, particularly in the area. We're based in East Anglia, as our name suggests. The East of England has a number of different institutions locally, and we try to work together where possible to support students who might be thinking quite holistically about studying in the area. And from speaking to our local counterparts and from universities across the UK, the support services provided are generally the sort of intrinsic backbone to many institutions. They have to be these days because, again, COVID had a lot to say for a lot of people, essentially, particularly with changing circumstances, anybody experiencing sort of mental health issues and things like that through being isolated. So a lot of universities stepped up at that particular point, have kept up that sort of same level of support throughout. I'd also like to add here as well that many universities will have lots of details on their websites about the sorts of services they provide and the language they use. So like I said about us referring to our learning enhancement area as that university websites will each detail what they have in place for the support of their students. And they'll be very happy as well to answer any questions that prospective students might have about those things at any open days or events that they run. For example, we have support service team members who come to our open days and answer questions from anyone who might want to come along and talk to them about any specific help or needs that they have and want to put in place. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. And I was going to, I thought as you were answering, obviously, the open days, is a great resource to sort of, if people out there can sort of make it to these days, then that's great. And obviously there's information as well. I mean, I guess, yes, obviously as well during COVID, there was a point where maybe some of the open days were cancelled. So a lot of that information was sort of uploaded online, and I imagine it's sort of still available for people if they
That's
can't.
what I was going to say. A lot of the virtual open days have been made available sort of 365 days of the year. So, for example, our virtual open day has been utilised a lot post-COVID as well, because students can't always travel internationally to look at accommodation options or have a virtual campus tour and those types of things. So I'd always suggest looking at the open day pages of a university website, as well as potentially their YouTube channels as well, because I have loads of videos as well about those things.
Perfect. Yes, that's right. So I mean, yes, I think the advice there is if you can make an open day, make it, but the information is out there now because the amazing, well, not necessarily all, in terms of the technology available out there can still give you a very, very good experience and a sort of overview of the information and services that are available to you once you go to university. So definitely, I think anybody watching this, if you can, and you're interested in going to UEA or any other university, is definitely to sort of check out their websites, their YouTube channels, and sort of gather as much information as you possibly can. With that, before we end, then, if there's any questions at all for Gemma or for us in regards to our UCAS application service or applying for university in general, please do put them into the comments. If not, then clearly we've done our job because we've answered absolutely everything. Here we have a question from Eleanor Harvey. So, do predicted grades have to be submitted with my reference in one document for the UCAS application? And can I give my NEC predicted grades to the person outside the NEC who is writing my reference? Would you be able to answer that, Kirsten, or maybe is it?
Certainly. So when you submit your application through UCAS, your referee will have the opportunity to upload predicted grades alongside the reference. So yes, they're done at the same time. Yes, we can provide your NEC predicted grades to an external referee, and then they can add those to your UCAS application. That's not a problem. If you go onto the Applying to University section on Learn@NEC, you will be able to see the different services that we offer, and as to which level of whether you want just predicted grades and a standard reference or whether you want academic comments. And once you've chosen that, if you can complete our request form, then we can sort that out for you. There is space on that request form to enter details of your external referee for us.
Great. Well, I hope that answered your question, Eleanor. If there's any other questions in the final few minutes, then please just add them to the comments, and then we'll read them out. If not, as I was saying, I think we've done our job and been incredibly thorough, and led you to the right. Also given some information on where you might be able to discover the information. And there's a Eleanor says thanks. So clearly, Kirsten, you've done a good job in answering that question there as well. As I mentioned at the beginning, in terms of for NEC, there's a lot of this information is already available to you if you're an NEC student on our learning platform, Learn at NEC. And if there's any sort of more specific questions, then you can email ucas@nec.ac.uk if you have anything that's really sort of specific that you can't find on Learn at NEC. I will, thanks to Gemma, obviously, I will share that information to anybody who's registered, all of the links and information that were in Gemma's slides, so you can start looking at that. I have another question here from Louis Ryan. I'm going to be attending university for a second time. Hopefully I'm getting a place in Toronto. And they mentioned that because of this, I can apply to have transfer credit. Do you know what it is, Gemma? That might be one for you, I think.
Yeah, I know what transfer credit is. So essentially, if you've completed a degree already, that basically means that you will have acquired credits towards your degree. If they've asked for a transcript of your credits achieved, that will be what this is. Essentially, what they'll do is look at the credits you achieved through your first degree and apply them to their own entry requirements. So, yeah, essentially, that should either grant you entry or count toward your second qualification, from how I read it.
Great. I hope that answered your question, Louis, and good luck. Toronto sounds like a great place to go. So good luck with that. Again, I'm just going to say very, very quickly, I'm going to just leave it open for a couple more minutes. If there's any further questions or any queries that anybody has at all. If not, as I said, I will be making sure that everybody who's registered for the event, as Louis has just said, thank you. So obviously answers his question. Thank you, Gemma. And here's another question here, I think from Crumpet Cat. If I miss the January UCAS deadline, will I still be able to apply for clearing? Also, do I require a personal reference for my university application, and can this be given by an employer? So I think maybe a bit of who would like to answer this one?
Yes, Gemma's nodding in agreement too. So yes, you can apply through clearing even if you miss the January UCAS deadline. That's no problem. You will go through the UCAS process the same, just for the clearing period. All of the UCAS applications, clearing or standard, will require a reference. Unless your university has specified that you don't need that particular section completed. But as far as I'm aware, everybody needs that reference on their application. It can be given by an employer. There is a useful section on the UCAS website about how to choose your referee. So my advice would be to go to the UCAS website and have a read of that section, because it will give you the details of how best to choose your referee.
Great. Well, I hope that answered your question as well there, Crumpet Cat. If there's any other questions, quickly before we sign off, thank you very much to everybody who's asked questions so far and your contributions. I think it's been helpful for everybody who's watching. And there we are. That's a thank you from Crumpet Cat. That's great. So while I'm closing up then, if you want to keep writing any questions, just do so. But again, I just want to just say that I'll be sending out all of the information in terms of the links that Gemma has shared in her slides, and I will also provide that email address again, ucas@nec.ac.uk, for any specific questions around our UCAS service. However, if you're a current student, you will find pretty much all of this information on our learning platform, Learn at NEC. It is there in the Help Hub. So along with a lot of other information that might be useful to you. So do check that out. Again, after this webinar, this will be available on demand from our YouTube channel. So if you ever feel like coming back and sort of looking at the presentations again, or you feel like you had a question afterwards, it might be that you want to just re-watch this at some point just to sort of refresh your memory or something there. So there's a question there you wanted to ask, then hopefully it will either be there hidden within this presentation, or again, you can use one of the links or email us and we can see if we can help you with it. Okay, I don't think there's going to be any more questions, so I'm gonna stop talking now and just give a big thank you to Gemma Standen from the University of East Anglia, and obviously Kirsten Butler from NEC for all of your contribution and being amazing at answering these complicated, well, not complicated, but the complicated for me questions. So again, thank you very much, and I will sign off now. Do check out our YouTube channel for any other webinars that might be of interest to you, and I will hopefully see you at the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.